Well, we still have with us in the studios Barrister Mbeseha. You who have played a role once upon a time in a DDR, not in the Cameroons, you know more than I do about the DDR. So I'd like you to throw light on this, looking at the recent case of Yannick in this story.
Well, the Yannick story is pathetic. And let me say for the record, you see, the word DDR, for example, and reconstruction are not creations of Yaoundé. They are international terms that are used at the end of conflicts. So they are not something that Yaoundé can sit down and invent. They have not invented anything, but they have tried to capitalize on it, lying to people that they are implementing these rules. As you said, I took part in the DDR process in the Burundi, 2004. The UN supervised DDR. I was there. I took part in the UN supervised DDR in Cote d'Ivoire. It failed, but I was part of it. I know why it failed. So what I'm saying here, I'm saying from practical experience and from the written document that are supposed to guide the DDR. DDR stands for disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. That's what ARO stands for. You are disarmed, you are demobilized, and you are reintegrated into the society. Is DDR in Yaoundé complying with any of this? No, they have complied with none of these items. The Yannicks and co who left and went to the so-called DDR don't fall within the terms of the DDR. They fall within the terms of the soldier who are surrounded, a defeated soldier. Nobody disarmed them. They surrendered themselves. Nobody disarmed them. In a rare war situation, they are not supposed to be called DDR. They are war prisoners. Because when you are defeated, you lay down your arms in the face of the enemy, and you surrender to him, you become a war prisoner. They don't kill you. They keep you there. At the end of the day, they exchange you as a war criminal, as a war prisoner. So they are not DDR, because nobody disarmed them. They went there by themselves with their two legs. DDR means an agreement that our people will disarm. The warring factions will disarm. And they define what disarmament will mean. They will bring in their weapons. They will surrender in their weapons. What are called weapons in terms of war? They are well defined in terms of disarmament. The AK-47, maybe you use a dengue and a lot of stuff. When we went to the Cote d'Ivoire, which I said they unfailed, the idea was that the fighters, the different groups will bring in their arms. They will be disarmed, they will surrender their arms to the commission, which was there being supervised by the United Nations and the African Union. And like Choyaba, there were groups in the Cote d'Ivoire who were not fighting. But they knew that if you go through this process, like the Yannicks and the rest, you will get the benefit out of it. So the first phase of it was, they asked the leaders, Choyaba, for example, how many soldiers do you have? Because you knew there's money there, you say, I have 10,000 soldiers. They asked Akwang, how many do you have? Because you knew they are going to pay money, you say, I have 500. And I said, okay, this is the place. Here, people will come to this spot with their 500 soldiers, everyone will give in his arm, to register it, take the gun, assign it, put a number on it, and put somewhere. And since they are going to the quartiers and look for people to claim to be their soldiers, they didn't have the arms. The first day we tried to do it somewhere in the Cote d'Ivoire there, people came with cutlasses. People came with spears, and these are the arms. Because the rule was that once you come in and hand in an arm, in the case of the Cote d'Ivoire, they will give you 300,000 francs, Ivorian francs. You give that amount of money. That's the first step. You surrender your gun, you give it that weapon, that amount of money. You surrender your weapon. And so they came in with cutlasses. They came in with spears as their weapons. And we who were there to oversee it as the United Nations, the question was, these arms they are brought in and they want to take 300,000. Are they arms defined by the United Nations rules? Spears were not arms being that rule. Cutlasses were not arms defined by that way. And so we have to refer back to New York, the headquarters, to see what do we do. People are coming with cutlasses and trying to take 300,000. Remember, this money is taken, which is being paid out to them, is sponsored by the world community. The United Nations gave it money. Friendly countries gave him money to fund that project. So we're caught there. I was there. I was the secretary in one of these commissions. And the idea was, are these people bringing cutlasses, spears, and mortar sticks? Do these things fit within the context of a weapon? We could not answer. So we wrote back to New York, waited for the next day. Tell us whether we should accept this as weapons or not. But the next day, the people who came in there, by the time we even had a reply, the people who came in for the first day with a few AK-47s or them guns, and they were given the money, they had left the camp and disappeared with the money. That's how they unfair. That's how it went to the end, and the war ended in 2011 with the rebels still armed who came out of around the capital, Abidjan. That's disarmament. You have to surrender a weapon to a commission agreed and set there. So the Yannicks have not surrendered their weapons to anybody. They have not been disarmed. They have disarmed themselves. They don't fall within the DDR. Once you do that, you do what they call demobilization. It's not one day. Demobilization takes time. They agree. These people will come in here and surrender their arms. What shall they become? So they will become, in the case of the Africans, most of them will become farmers. There's a lot of forest there. They will train you for your farming for 2 months. They will give you a piece of land and some money again, 500,000, for you to get your farm tools. That is demobilization, preparing for you to go back to the community. And once you have gone through this first phase, 2 months of training, and you have to be reintegrated into the community, you go to your farm if you are given a farm, or you go to your workshop if you have trained in carpentry, or whatever trade you have trained in doing the demoralization process. I become a member of the civil society performing what you got trained for, supported by the government or the international community financially. If you are going to be a carpenter, you buy carpenter tools. It costs a lot of money to mobilize thousands of people. If you want to be a farmer, they will give you chainsaws to cut trees and that type of stuff. That's a lot of money. Has any of these things happened in Cameroon? Zero. They've let these guys who surrendered by themselves. They were not demobilized. They came there. They were not. They were not disarmed. They are not being demoralized. They keep them when they come there. The few of them who are there, give them food, and train them to become the agents of destruction, to use them as spies to go and look for their enemies and fight against. Is that DDR? No. Is there any one of these people, the Yannicks and the rest, who has been reinserted into the community? If there is one, where is that insertion? It was not meant for them to give you money to pay a flight and go to London like in Amba. It was meant for you to be reinserted into your own community. And so it is just say, well, we give them 10,000. We have been giving them food. That is not DDR. Let any of them come and prove me wrong. They know it, but they don't want to do it. They are scheming. They are scamming us by lying to the international community. Which is why, if you look at the last report of the human rights officer who visited Cameroon, he said something about the DDR. He called on the government to revisit their so-called DDR program. That's political diplomatic language. Put there for public consumption to the world. They have been to Yaoundé. They have been told about DDR. They have seen what they have done. And then they came and said, look, we urge the government to revisit their DDR program. It means it is not working. It has not worked from day one. The principles have been deceived. Again, DDR is not the invention of Yaoundé. It is an international term. So the issue is to deceive our people. The same thing goes with reconstruction. If you can permit me, I'll just add it there. They have been there, the plan to reconstruct Norway Southwest. They have not reconstructed anything. Because reconstruction by international standards in terms of war requires that first and foremost you take a census. It's not just going to dig a road. No. The people who have left their homes and escaped. Let us say in the Northwest, the way people build more houses. After 7 years, that more house has collapsed. How are they going to go back? Is he going to go back to the mud house? No. Reconstruction will require that. They should now put them in better places. Reconstruct them. You are living without water supply. They will put pipe on water there. In the case of Burundi, when we did that, they created layouts. They came to say, Nkwen, for example, let me just say Nkwen to be a village. See, well, how many people were living here? They take a census. They said Mr. A had 2 wives, Mr. C had 3, with 5 children. They are not going to build the same type of houses. They build those houses for you, call you, we are 2 wives, give you 3 room house, give you a key, do that. When they do that reconstruction, they then put now what did not even exist there. They put pipelines, water supply, they put electricity. This is not done at the cost of the government of that country. It is sponsored by the international community. So telling us that we're doing reconstruction, we'll send some money for the reconstruction of the Norwest because when I put some pipe on, we'll build a pipe, water, we'll dog a borehole. That is not reconstruction in terms of war as defined by the United Nations organizations. And so they deceive us all the time. Some of us fall for it because we don't know. Some fall for it because we know and we don't want to insist. We just want something that will benefit us. Over to you.
Appreciate your presence. Once again, and Undaunted, it's always a pleasure to have you because you have the right words and the very right information that Ambazonians need. Thank you once again for joining us on Undaunted. With that, we'll say good night to you, Barrister Mbeseha.
Thank you for having me.